Well, we've got some pretty big news today because the epic debate of what's officially part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe may have finally reached a stunning conclusion. Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige has finally spoken, and it's time to dive deep into the multiverse of information. Let's check out these shocking revelations. Now, for years, us fans have passionately argued over what Marvel television properties, like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. or Daredevil or the Inhumans, are actually part of the MCU canon. There has been a lot of conflicting evidence both for and against this, and it has enraged a fan battle for years. Now, some of the more notable occurrences of this are Charlie Cox returning as Matt Murdock in Spider-Man No Way Home and the upcoming Daredevil Born Again series, or even that introduction of the Darkhold in WandaVision, which only seemed to add intrigue to the debate. But now it appears Kevin Feige has given us a definitive answer, and Marvel TV shows occupy branched timelines distinctive from the sacred 616 timeline. We've talked about this for a long time, but what this revelation allows is Kevin Feige and his team at Marvel to escape any of the shackles of past creative decisions, and this will allow them the freedom to cherry pick what's worked, weave it into the grander MCU tapestry, and then discard or recast anything that doesn't. We're looking at you, Finn Jones. So where does this information actually come from? And in this time, we have a bit of a smoking gun. In the newly released Marvel Studios, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, an official timeline, Kevin Feige actually lays down the verdict when he says, on the multiverse node, we recognize that there are stories, movies, and series that are canonical to Marvel, but were created by different storytellers during different periods of Marvel history. The timeline presented in this book is specific to the MCU's sacred timeline through Phase 4. But as we move forward and deeper into the multiverse saga, you never know what timelines might just crash or converge. Now, this is what we've been suggesting for quite a while. Kevin Feige is going to use the multiverse to cherry pick the elements that work, but then disregard what doesn't. Meaning, if it's not part of the original sacred timeline, it's technically not part of the MCU. Now, he also did say there that you never know what could drop in there, which is a pretty big hint that many of these characters or stories from Marvel television could eventually find their way into the MCU via these converging timelines. The thing you have to remember here is there was a pretty fierce divide between Kevin Feige and Marvel Studios and Marvel Television's Jeff Loeb. The TV shows, who were masterminded by Loeb, faced the scrutiny of Marvel's creative committee and ultimately reported up to Ike Perlmutter, whereas Kevin Feige went straight to Disney CEO Bob Iger, creating a rivalry that was definitely felt in the end productions and created some interesting separation between TV and film. These days, Kevin Feige is in charge of everything Marvel, and many of us are pretty familiar with those Disney Plus series they've been producing, but originally none of the television shows were produced by Feige, and that's why they weren't generally incorporated into the MCU. Now, the question on every Marvel's fan mind now is, what's next? What characters from this multiverse will find their way into the final post-Secret Wars MCU or even show up in Secret Wars? We really don't know, but it is pretty clear and definitive at this point that the Sacred Timeline is the only official timeline. Everything else is on a branch, but any of it, including your favorite show, could somehow be integrated into the MCU in the future, so that provides us all a pretty good reason to stay tuned. When we'll get the final answers, we're probably going to have to wait for Secret Wars, but it should ultimately be exciting.